It's weird. I finished the script for my other video and I realized, wow, there's so many things I need to do. So, in the meantime, as I'm trying to figure out some stuff for that, let's talk about something else. Much like with a lot of things, in life, a lot of your hobbies and your interests come in form of phases, right? It's not that it's a one and done deal, but it's when you have multiple hobbies, there's times that, only one of them is in the focus and the other ones are kind of laying low. So that's what I mean by phases, I guess. I don't know, lack of vocabulary knowledge, you could call it. And I don't know, the past 2 weeks, I would say, I was going through my sort of political period cycle, I guess. Because it's not a phase. It's not that I'm like, oh, I'm going through this age where I'm like, oh, I have political opinions, and then I do that, and I'm like, no, I don't have political opinions, and then I just fuck off. It's not that because it's a cycle, as I said. It's probably like my millionth political cycle. In the last one, I had this sort of realization when I was just online because the algorithms are like, oh, you followed this sort of person who knows what he's talking about and is in this sort of conference call and it's a very nice interview. You watch that. What about this other bunch of like college students who don't know shit and are just essentially talking back a lot of things that they have heard? Would you want to listen to that, or would you want to watch a video about that? Would you want to watch a video of angry, mainly unaware people yell about their political opinions as if they're a part of their, personality, and as if the other side of the political spectrum are devils? Would you want to watch that? I'm like, no, I never want to watch that. So whenever they come up, I'm like, not interested. Which is, I swear, the majority of time I spend on social media is just looking for that I'm not interested button. So yeah. And a bunch of those videos are like this. And, it's like, it all essentially boils down to this. It's like, oh, this strong sort of conservative man shows up, these stupid sort of Gen Z, stupid, fucking doesn't know shit, trend following young fella who doesn't know anything, yeah, put him in his place, right? And on the other way, it's like, oh, the woke left side hero can, destroys the old mans and the stupid, like the primal people who are the people of the right. And it's essentially always this. And I get it. On some side, it's, the plague that is journalism. Because, I mean, upon its dawn, you wanted to use a sort of strategy that would make your content appealing to people. That's to deal with thumbnails and clickbaits and titles printed in bold letters and in sort of sentencing that doesn't really reveal much and is confusing. You could call about if it's ethical or not, but that's not why we're here. There's a billion other people talking about a billion other things on YouTube. If you're curious about it, I'm sure there's someone talking about that. I'm sure there's someone talking about this as well. But yeah. So the first reason would be that, you're doing this to make it appealing to people. There's a lot of these sort of videos. It's like, oh, one guy from the left against this circle of these people on the right. And I saw that and I was like, that is kind of barbaric. I just watched the thumbnail and the title for that. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to watch this. Okay, it's not what I want to. What is this? Is it like a torture? Who would watch this? Like, and what is the feeling that you get from this? What is the feeling of satisfaction you get from this? You watch it and you're like, oh, look at my dear fellow comrade, surrounded in the middle of all these primal people, tearing him apart. Or if he says something, it's like, oh, this guy is my hero. What is that thing? It's like your political spectrum or your political alignment it doesn't really make you any different than any other person with any kind of different political alignment in terms of what you would like as your lively rights, right? You all want to have a home, you want to have a nice job, you want to get paid good for it, you want to have a safe home, a safe country, a sort of political spectrum that ensures your, living and financial stability, you want to have any kind of health care, you want all these things, and nobody would be like, oh no, the guy on the other side of the spectrum is like, no, people should not have drinking water and food and a place to live. Like, nobody really thinks that way. And if they do, they wouldn't turn into a community because they would not. That's as simple as it gets. But the thing is just like there's so much hate regarding all these things. I don't understand it. And when you get deeper into all these sort of political agendas that are made, well, by the political alignments themselves, obviously, and for obvious reasons, because it's easy to make people believe that the political alignment that you are saying is a part of their personality and a part of the only truth that can exist, and that everything is this sort of binary form where either I am right and the other one is evil, or I am right and the other one is evil, because you never admit that you're in the wrong or you have done any wrong, because there is no gray area. It's either you are one and the other one is zero. And as I said, you never admit to your wrongs. That's easier because, well, your followers now will, approach this as a personal matter as opposed to with logic. When you do this, all sorts of logic is just flung out the window. And it's never a time for actually communicating your ideas and doing all these things. It just becomes this battle about just, you're dumb, you're making this world a worse place, you are a fucking Nazi and a fucking just blah and a bunch of terms and a killer and a bunch of those things. Right, a world destroyer. I've heard that. I understand calling someone a Nazi, why you would call them. It's stupid. I understand why you would call them a world destroyer. Like, I mean, I'm all there for drama, but a world destroyer is a bit too much, wouldn't you say? I don't know. I'm just this 21-year-old kid who doesn't live in America, but I'm baffled by the kind of things that people do, this amount of hate that goes towards loving your side. I don't understand it. And it's not like, oh, I'm coming from a place where everything is happy and fun and rainbows and we all ride around our unicorns and we play our unitards, which sounds like an offensive word, which isn't, but it isn't. We play our instruments and we dance under the rainbows. I don't know. I'm not being like that. But the extent of something like that, I have never seen outside of America. And I don't understand it. I don't understand why that is. Because when I look at myself, I've had my runs. I don't like, am I on the left? Am I on the right? Let's say if I was, right? As I said, I don't live in America, so it's irrelevant. But I was like, if I was to be an American, would I be on the right or would I be on the left? I don't understand it to be completely true. And I'm not saying, oh, there has to be a billion other possibilities and we gotta have we gotta have a name for every single fucking thing so that everybody's included. Because that's just dumb. You can't have everybody included. And, well, if the political spectrum is just a two group kind of a thing, well, you gotta be allowed to think in between of them, but you gotta follow someone, and you don't follow someone because of their side. You wouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna vote for the right because I'm right wing. Well, that's just dumb. No, you write for the one that you think is just. If you are right wing and you think that left wing candidate, there we go, is rightful for the role, you vote for the left. And you take pride in it because you chose like an adult. Great. I don't know. It's like, it feels like the entire community and the entire culture of people is preventing people from thinking in between that and going back to, would I be on the left or the right? I always found myself really in the middle. I'm in the middle. I want some of the things that the right wing people say, and I want some of the things that the left wing people say. And the thing that, maybe you have more, maybe I'm more aligned towards a specific direction. Well, that only depends on who's running for president and stuff at the time, and the sort of culture that follows at that time. So yeah, that was my sort of thing. I never understood the hate. And if someone's going to watch that, I don't know if you understand the sort of hate that is going around. Maybe you could offer me some explanation. Or if not that, I would like to know how many people feel the same way. Because I'm sure as hell all confused.